Hi, I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. My partner, Kristen Oaks-White, will join us a little bit later in the show. According to the latest crop progress report from the USDA, 100% of Louisiana's corn crop is now emerged from Morehouse Parish all the way down to West Baton Rouge. This week, TWILA's Carl Wiggers takes us to one of the southernmost corn farms in the state to see how the crop planted in early March is looking 2 months later.
Donald Schexnayder finds himself looking to his phone often for weather updates. That's because he depends solely on Mother Nature to irrigate his farm. However, in this part of the world, getting the rain is not the issue.
Our biggest concern year in and year out is getting water off the field. We usually get too much rain. Normal rainfall for our area is around 56 inches a year. We've been getting that and more for the last couple of years.
Schexnayder says a lot of that rainfall comes in the spring, which is why he and his brothers try to plant as early as possible.
This year we were able to get in the field early. It was a kind of a drier early spring, winter and early spring. We got to started off planting at the beginning, probably the 3rd or 4th of March. The earlier you get, normally you get a little bit more rain than once you get in the summer day, summertime pattern where it's hit or miss.
So far, that plan has worked out. Timely rains have come to help this corn flourish early.
We've been having good weather, timely rains, keeping it growing, healthy looking. You can see that by the color of the corn, it's dark green, it's growing good. Right now, it's a little bit dry, but not any critical level yet.
Their wish for more rain is not a simple one, though. 2 other crops still need to be harvested, and they still have soybeans to plant.
We don't have everything planted yet. We got the majority of them in the ground. Most of them are up and growing, looking really good also. We also going to plant some beans behind the wheat and oats once we harvest it. So they're about 2 weeks off from harvesting right now. So hopefully it harvests off good and we can get right in and plant that acreage.
The Schexnayders have a few more acres of soybeans to plant in the coming weeks following the harvest of their oat and wheat crops. Statewide, around 3/4 of the soybean crop is in the ground. And Avery, one thing that I spoke with Donald about out in the field was, you see this corn, you see it all across the state. I grew up with it around our farm. And everyone thinks, oh, well, that's the corn that we eat on our table. We do eat it eventually.
It just has to go through a couple of steps.
It has to go through a couple steps, maybe a chicken house or, potato chips or wherever it may end up. But one thing that we also, love is sweet corn. 1% is the number Donald told me. About 1%
really
nationwide is all the sweet corn that is grown in fields that look just like this. It's just a different variety of corn. It's pretty, I was just interested by that. So it was neat.
The corn on the cob that I serve to my boys, that's only 1% of the crop. And your dad plants some sweet corn as well.
He does, and you can't have any of it.
Come on,
I'm going to go get some. Hopefully it works out. Usually it's ready, I don't know, somewhere in the end of June.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible time for us. We're putting on convention. But I'm going to try to get my way up there and grab some this year.
Well,
can't wait.
Just spare a couple of ears for the boss. Couple of ears for the boss.
We'll see.
All right. Thank you very much, Carl Wiggers. Well, despite the good-looking corn you saw in Carl's story of the Schexnayders, there's less corn acreage in Louisiana this year. Those corn acres got traded in favor of soybeans due primarily to the skyrocketing cost of fertilizer. Even before the invasion of Ukraine, input costs have risen dramatically over the past year. Grayson Close, a grain marketing specialist with the Louisiana Farm Bureau Marketing Association, says the effect of those higher costs played out in the acreage battle here in Louisiana, including acres for cotton this year and possibly wheat for 2023.
We planted a little less corn than we did last year and a little more beans, so some switching there, mostly due to fertilizer cost at this point. About 80,000 less in corn and another 120 or so in beans, and we also picked up some cotton in the state, so it's kind of nice, honestly, to see that come back a little bit as well. Going to watch wheat later in the fall to see how things are going to move with that. We're looking at a good forecast for this week coming to make some really good progress on planting in the United States. We're behind pace a little bit on corn and soybeans, but again, it's early and the big guys out in the Midwest can make up a lot of ground very quick amount of time to do that. So it's going to be interesting to see if the prices hold, if we see an acre shift at the end of June or not. Again, we're just watching how things are moving, the internal fertilizer prices and diesel prices as well.
We'll have more from Grayson Close next week as we take a deep dive into the rising costs of food, fertilizer, and fuel. As you heard, there are a lot more soybean acres in Louisiana this year, and soybean planting is well ahead of last year's pace. That's good progress due to favorable weather. However, as Craig Gautreaux reports from northeast Louisiana, there's still a long way to go to get more than 1 million acres of beans in the ground.
What a difference a year makes. Last year's soybean planting was plagued by wet and cool weather and ran well behind schedule. This year's start has been fast because of favorable planting conditions. Farmers will need the weather to cooperate to get all their acres planted.
The USDA estimates Louisiana will plant 1.2 million acres in 2022, which would be about 11% more than last year.
Two issues have been fueling the growing acreage of soybeans. Market prices are good for soybeans, and the high price of nitrogen fertilizer has caused some farmers to move away from crops that require a significant amount of nitrogen, such as corn.
The big reason is that the price has been good for soybean, and in particular this year, the input cost has been a little bit higher. So especially without needing to put nitrogen out, soybean can have a little bit lower input cost.
The best yield potential requires soybean farmers to get their crop in the ground in early May. Another factor helping yield is planting in fields that do not have actively growing weeds.
If you can start clean without weeds and you get a pre-emerge out, that's going to help you a lot to not have that big flush of weeds to try to control later.
Mosley was planting one of his test plots on the Northeast Research Station near St. Joseph.
We have small plots that are grown on 7 research stations, but we also grow large strip trials, and mostly we grow those on producers' farms.
Mosley is studying 123 different varieties on research stations and 31 varieties on producer farms. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
According to the USDA Crop Progress Report, about 75% of the state's soybean crop has been planted, which is ahead of the 5-year average of 60% for the second week of May. While many farmers and ranchers are busy in their fields, others are taking time away from their crops and livestock to help the agriculture industry as a whole. The Louisiana Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers traveled to the state capitol in Baton Rouge to see the legislative process firsthand. It was in the Senate chambers where Louisiana Farm Bureau legislative specialist Joe Mapes talked them through the process and explained why their involvement in making laws is vital to ensuring the future of agriculture. YFNR Chair Vincent Canatella says this event is different because it's not just members of the state committee invited to come, but all young farmers and ranchers from every parish.
We're here and it lets our elected officials see us here, younger generation coming up, voice our opinions, problems we might be having with bills they have going through that affect us and just affect our industry as a whole.
Just a few days later, the Louisiana Farm Bureau Women's Leadership Committee held its Capitol Day. This group of farm women sat in on meetings of the Senate Agriculture Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee. It was in that meeting where they witnessed a victory for Farm Bureau, the amendment of a bill that would have been detrimental to farm families. Women's Leadership Committee Chair Michelle Semino says that was a great example of grassroots efforts creating results.
I hope that our women see that it is important to stay connected with our legislatures and tell our story and how important Louisiana agriculture is to the state of Louisiana.
If you would like to learn more about the Louisiana Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers or the Louisiana Farm Bureau Women's Leadership Committee, visit our website at twilatv.org. Each week, we bring you prices for our favorite crustacean. Though it's starting to warm up, there are still crawfish to be enjoyed across the state. If you're in Alexandria, Tom's Seafood has crawfish for $1.89 a pound live and $2.99 a pound boiled. In Hammond, you can visit Miller's Mart Seafood and Deli. Crawfish there, $2.29 a pound live and $3.69 a pound for boiled. In Livonia, the boiling branch has live crawfish for $2.99 a pound live, and you can get them boiled for $4.99 a pound. You can also find another location of the boiling branch in New Roads if you're around False River and want some crawfish to enjoy out on the water. You'll hear some more from the folks over at the boiling branch in our Feasting on Agriculture segment after the break. Now, before you head out to grab some crawfish, call ahead, check the prices. They can change from time to time, and there's no need to wonder where your crawfish come from at the boiling branch. It's Four Oaks crawfish, right? But wherever you're getting crawfish this weekend, be sure you're getting Louisiana crawfish. The Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board reminds you to always ask before you eat. Well, still to come on TWILA, those crawfish we just talked about and the people who raise them. Feasting on Agriculture is next.
Feasting on Agriculture with Kristen Oaks White is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
Well, today we have a real treat for you. We're here in Morganza, Louisiana on a beautiful blue sky day at Four Oaks Crawfish Farm with Mr. Matt Fry. So the ponds that we're going, are they a lot further away from here?
About a quarter of a mile down the road. We're gonna get out there and they're gonna be kind of getting ready to prepare for the catch today.
Right, right.
Come on! We burning daylight right here. I wanted him to stop, and undoubtedly he must have thought we were just wanting to look at him or something, because he kept going.
So we gotta go chase him down.
Yeah, we gotta go chase him down now. Hey, check that out.
What has the season been like thus far?
It's been good for us, you know. Just wish we could do it longer.
When you talk about the season ending, how long are y'all gonna keep crawfishing?
End of May.
End of May.
Yeah, we're gonna be finished at the end of May, yeah. You can sit right there, it ain't wet, huh?
No.
Sit right there, son. Hey, whoop. The crawfish, that would be fun. They'd eat you like a little piranha.
You sell directly to consumers.
Yes.
What's the one thing that you want the public to know about the product that you put your blood, sweat, and tears into?
Yeah, to me, it's about the industry trying to put out a crawfish or a product that is superior. Oh, boy, that's a good one there.
Oh, that's a good one.
I mean, look, you could eat that one like a steak.
Woo!
You could eat that one. That's a monster. Hey, I need to sack this one.
You need to sack it?
I need a... Come on. Here.
Tell me.
Here. Just rake them in.
Rake them in. Okay.
Rake them in.
Yeah.
You gotta get closer than that. Damn, they that big? She's yawning like a cow.
Ah.
Little more. All right. How's she doing, man? I've seen better.
If you wanted to keep it going until July, could you physically?
Yeah, we could, but the quality of crawfish falls off to where, you know, there's the money that they're willing to pay is not worth it. Hey, this is a female and this is a male.
I learned this last time,
Yep.
but it was so cold that I think I forgot.
The little pizzas, and I got to check, but yep, that's a female.
Let's see if I learn. Test me.
Is that a male or female? Don't look.
Male.
Yeah, no, that's a female.
What?
No, male.
Huh.
This is a male with the little white.
Female.
Maybe. Flip him. No, you're wrong.
Ah, he's angry.
Yeah, well, I'm on spot right there.
What does that make you feel like when somebody sits down for, like you said, a senior party or, an Easter crawfish bowl or something, and they have your crawfish on the table and they say, man, these are the best ones I've ever had?
That happens a lot, but it's still just as good as it was the first time I heard it, which is years ago.
So what does that make you feel like inside?
Oh no, it's important. I mean, shoot, I'm out here. I ain't out here just to play around. I want to be the best that I could do at. I want to be the best at it. And we doing pretty good.
Now we've got a real treat for you because we're in the kitchen of Four Oaks Crawfish Farm, and I've got the matriarchs of Four Oaks, Sean and Jody Fry, that are here, and we're going to do crawfish stuffed bell peppers.
That's right.
And you said that you picked this recipe for a special reason because?
Well, whenever we were deciding on what to cook, we said here in the spring of Louisiana, gardens are in full swing, and so there's lots of bell peppers and just wonderful ingredients to use in this. So we decided to use bell
you've
peppers.
got a beautiful, I will have to give y'all kudos because y'all spent so much time to give us a beautiful spread.
We tried.
Of all of the different things that make Louisiana produce great, including the crawfish. So y'all take it away. Tell me what's the first thing we need to do.
Okay, first thing you need, and we've parboiled our peppers already. So you need parboiled peppers that we're gonna actually stuff these.
So how do you just boil them?
You cut the tops off. You could either use the whole bell pepper or half a bell pepper and scoop out the pulp and put them in boiling water. I'd say about no more than 5 minutes, just to get them kind of soft. That's the pre-cooking stage. The next step is you're just gonna use a half a stick of butter. Not a half a stick, that's a full stick of butter. Yeah.
Oh, that's hot,
and then you're gonna put, it's a little hot. And then we're gonna put our Trinity. I would put all of it. It calls for a half a cup or a cup of onion, but here in Louisiana, the more seasoned the better, right?
Yeah.
So that's about a medium.
That's two things you can never have too much of.
That's a medium
and butter,
onion.
in my opinion.
It's about a half a cup of celery and bell pepper.
Here, you look. I'll help. I'll stir it. You add in. But you tell me if I'm doing it wrong.
No, you're doing it perfect. Perfect. And you boil it. And you're going to saute that until it's nice and wilted.
It almost looks like you're starting to roux.
So after that's wilted, you're going to stir in your crawfish. This is 2 pounds of Louisiana, actually it's Four Oaks Farms crawfish tails.
Beautiful.
And you're going to cook that for about 20 minutes. Okay. So the next thing that it calls for is salt, black pepper, and red pepper. So Jody's and we like to season our food
just season to taste.
Yeah.
To your palate.
You could never have too much.
Before we stuff, we could always taste a little bit before you stuff your pepper to make sure that it's to your taste. This is black pepper.
And we like a little kick to it. So.
Right. But that's cayenne pepper.
Yes, this is cayenne pepper. If you used boiled crawfish, I'm sure you'll have a little heat in your seasoned water already, so you may not use quite as much. There we go. We're gonna have heat on that one.
It's gonna be some spicy peppers.
A little Worcestershire and Tabasco, if you'd like to. And green onions. That's about a half a cup of green onions. And parsley.
That's beautiful.
In South Louisiana, you can never have too much green onions and parsley.
Get back to you now.
Stir it up, get that well mixed. And actually, now that we've put in all those ingredients, I think we might add a little bit of crawfish stock. I wouldn't put all of it though, just a little bit.
This is a beautifully colored dish. And it looks like that we coordinated our outfits with it too.
It kind of does, doesn't
By
it?
coincidence.
It's a very pretty, there you go. I think you're good.
Dish, pretty color.
So you cook that for about 10 minutes.
So now we're moving on to the stuffing.
Place it in there. And you would put a little bit of water in the bottom so it doesn't stick. Pop it in the oven at 350 until
till it comes
Till
out.
it comes
looking
out.
Like that, like this. And that's the finished product.
And as we always say, the magic television, we have it already prepared. So I'm going to be the guinea pig tasting. Y'all, this is there's so many different flavors in here, and
Is it good?
wonderful. Kudos, I'm taking the recipe home with me. If you guys at home are interested in trying this recipe yourself, or you want to learn more about 4 Oaks Crawfish Farm, we put a link on our website at twilatv.org. Thank you so much, Sean, Jody. This has been wonderful. It's a great dish, and the spread is so beautiful. We've had a great day here at 4 Oaks. Thanks for joining us on Feasting on Agriculture.
Feasting on Agriculture with Kristen Oaks White was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
After seeing that, I'm definitely hungry for crawfish. And if you're hungry for crawfish too, the folks over at 4 Oaks Crawfish say they're going to be fishing their ponds through the end of May. To finish our show, we like to bring you an uplifting story that we call the TWILA Boost. This week, we have the ultimate underdog story that I'm sure you've heard about by now. It's from the Kentucky Derby this past weekend. Joining us now is TWILA's Breanne Hendrickson. And Breanne, you are our resident horse expert. Rides, has her own. The rest of us on the TWILA team, we have no horse sense whatsoever. So that's why I know that you watched the Derby. What'd you think?
I did. I was on the edge of my seat the whole entire time. Actually, cool little backstory. This horse, the dam, the mother of it, belongs to one of my friends back home in southern Indiana. Yeah, so down south we were a little excited for this win, so it was definitely good to get back.
That's cool.
Yeah. Rich Strike, a name you will hear now more than ever. A long shot in the Kentucky Derby, a race he wasn't even supposed to run in.
They're off.
Coming from gate 20, Rich Strike stayed behind the pack and outlasted top contenders and Derby favorites Epicenter and Zandon. Rich Strike's owner purchased the colt last fall for a mere $30,000, chump change in the racehorse world. He hadn't won a race since his maiden victory more than 6 months ago and came to the Derby on a 5-race losing streak. At 80-1, the odds were not in his favor. In fact, they were the second longest odds of any Derby winner in history. One of the unsung heroes of this story is the groomer, Jerry Dixon Jr., the one who takes care of Rich Strike daily and knows the animal better than anyone else. That's why he was one of the few who did have faith that Rich Strike would beat the odds and win the race.
I told you. What did I tell you? It's a fact. What did I tell you?
And stories like this are what makes the Derby such a special event. It thrills us, but also makes us squirm. It welcomes storylines, but also makes no promises. It only pays respect to the final result, just 1 1/4 mile on the first Saturday in May. First to the line gets the roses. And this year, it happened to be the horse with the smallest chance and the longest shot of all. And if you're wondering what the payout was for those who bet on Rich Strike, $2 bet netted a return of $163.60.
How much did you bet, Breanne?
I was good this year. I did not bet. Okay, maybe I wasn't good. I did not bet this year.
Okay.
So I kind of lost out. I should have. No. But I think a lot of us were thinking that this time.
Could have gotten really rich.
Yes.
But, you know, I'm glad you didn't because you didn't turn in your notice. Appreciate that, Breanne. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll have an in-depth look at how inflation is affecting prices on the farm and at the grocery store. Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You'll find these stories and more on our YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe, turn on the notifications, that way you know when we put something out. For all of us here at TWILA, thank you for joining us. We hope it's not a long shot that we see you right here next week.